Of course, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Victorious Ones podcast. As you can see, I'm back from Los Angeles from WrestleMania. In fact, I officially got back home. Of course, introduced by, my name is Von Wrestler Jr., aka King Von Jr. Of course. For those that are watching by way of YouTube, you could follow me on YouTube, youtube.com/ at Von Wrestler Jr. And of course, I have all my social media handles. Of course, at the bottom of the screen for those that are watching by way of YouTube, Facebook Live, StreamYard, whatever. And so it's like I said, it's like I said, of course, as of this time last week, I was in the city of Angels, Los Angeles, for none other than WrestleMania 39, Hollywood Mania, as I call it, LA Mania. You could call it as well. And of course, like I said, when it comes to, spent, pretty much, a weekend of itself, of course, in Los Angeles for WrestleMania. Like I said, I had a great time. I enjoyed myself. And so, so of course, like I say, in fact, full disclosure, Tuesday night I caught a red eye. Got there like really super early Wednesday morning, and of course I made sure that make sure that I got there just in time to go to Wale Mania. And so of course so of course of course Wale Mania was absolutely incredible. It lived up to, if not exceeded, what it was sort of what it was built up as. You know what I mean? So I got to meet some really cool people, run into some some people, some familiar faces over there. Of course, shout out to Black Wrestling. As far as Fam Cal, Fam Cal, Mimi and Drip. I ran into them over there. So of course, was Java Tears when it came to of course Wilkins and Janelle. As well as Janelle's sidekick Danielle from Pretty Hills. And I guess some name dropping, if you will, Stephanie Hardy from Hardy Wrestling Podcast. She went crazy when it came to when it came to Usos, especially Jey Uso. Just full disclosure. Like I say, the funny thing is, every time I run, just a funny little story. Every time I run the Fam, he always throws in my face about that spoiler that I accidentally gave for Snowfall. I'm not going to say who it is. I think some of y'all know already. But but as far as that, like I said, it was great. Also got like I said, some other other people within the wrestling community I ran into as well. As far as like Cheap Pop Wrestling podcast, and also took a picture with Wesley, the NXT North American champion. Congratulations to him for retaining the title of Stand and Deliver. And actually, just nothing but the best for him. So as far as that, of course, shout out to another podcast friend of mine, KME out there in LA. He definitely did a lot to help me navigate and to get through, get through like certain parts of the city and things like that. So, like I said, greatly appreciate your support. Thank you very much for everything. So as far as that, like I say, of course, Wale Mania, like I said, a celebration for Trinity 5-2, or now Trinity Star, formerly known as Naomi of WWE fame. It was a surprise celebration for Big E. I didn't really expect the New Day to be there, but whatever. But of course, I'm glad they showed up as honorary guests. At least Big E and Xavier. Kofi's still injured, but they were still showing, giving video tributes to him and everything. Like I said, of course, West Side Gun showed up. Samoa Joe was super duper lit, and especially when Jay-Z came on. And Speed and Lit RVD, pretty much got lit up like a Christmas tree. Full disclosure, I guess I'm disclosing so much all at the same time. It's not like Vegas where it happens there stays there, but it's Wale Mania. So, and of course, a shout out to the Ringer, as far as Seahawk, Cash, Shoemaker, everybody like that. Of course, Brian as well. and like so as far as those type of things. I'm gonna get to WrestleMania in a minute. But I'm just sharing some of my LA experiences because I hadn't been to LA in a long time. Excuse me, last time I went there, I was a teenager, like 16, 17, right? So it's my first time going to LA on my own. You know what I mean? And it was certainly rewarding because of what came out of it and because of the reason I got there. And and so of course, um, like I said, it was an incredible experience, and of course, like the morning after Wale Mania, I've seen those those it was like this media, sort of like get together, panel, whatever. When it came to women in wrestling, shout out to Mimi from Black Wrestling for hosting that, for moderating that as well. As well as having Big Swole and Faye Jackson when it comes to Black women in wrestling. So as well, and many others that were on the panel. So so if I didn't miss you, sorry about that. Glad I finally got to meet Matt from Black Wrestling. Like for the longest time, like I say, it was great, great experience. Um, and I think kind of wish I went to NXT. Um, I need kind of wish I went to NXT Stand and Deliver. I didn't know about the ticket stuff, whatever until like the day of or afterwards, as far as prices, so quote unquote. But like I said, it was a great event. Congratulations to Carmelo Hayes for becoming the new NXT champion as he defeated Braun Breaker. So Carmelo is him, and in fact, there was a picture he posted yesterday that was it was like an homage to Notorious B.I.G. Obviously, the iconic picture where Biggie's wearing the crown as the King of New York, the red background. Everybody's seen it. So Carmelo did his own version. Did his own version of the picture where he's wearing a crown, and of course, he's got the NXT Championship, over his shoulder, just like I had this Wind Eagle belt over my shoulder. So he's pretty much, I call it the Notorious him because he the king of NXT. He runs NXT. He's the A champ. Of course, he was at Wally Mania as well as Trick. Hit Row reunited as well. Even for one night only. Um, so MVP was there, and so like some of the main action as far as like really meeting them. Of course, by the way, Jay Cargill was also Wally Mania. Side note, but as far as like the main to like really meet, to really get that main action as far as like meeting them. It was more so, like it's like a VIP section, like backstage type of thing. Um, I was like, I think I got like a general admission. I wish I would have gotten, VIP to be on the list, but it is what it is. Maybe sometime next year for WrestleMania 40. When they do Wally Mania again. But of course, niggas sort of live and learn, but I still have a great experience. Um, and of course, when it came to, like I said, just some of the, just some of the sightseeing, when it comes to Los Angeles, and of course, I, walk across the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I've been there before, but just in terms of this time as I'm older, it was, like I say, it was absolutely amazing, and and of course, a big thing, like and also I got a chance to explore the WWE Superstore, as well as along with seeing the Hollywood sign. I did all that on Saturday. So as far as like I said, of course, like so of course that morning, I went to the WWE Superstore, just explored, just like I said, got a chance to explore downtown LA, say Crypto Arena, of course the arena where the Lakers played, which was also that very same day happened to be um, when Stand and Deliver took place. So so like I said, I was going through downtown LA at the same time that Stand and Deliver took place. You know what I mean? But of course, I have no regrets. I mean, I don't really regret it too much, but it's just that like I said, you're just glad to be there. Like I said, and of course, later that day, um, I got a chance to, like I said, yeah, like I said, I finally got a chance to see the Hollywood sign, just even closer up for myself. I didn't go all the way up to see it, but still, like seeing it's like a very special, special thing to behold. Um, so it's just that, so I'm just sort of giving a rundown of how my time was spent there. But of course, without further ado, it is time to go into the main thing that I'm here to talk about, and that is none other than WrestleMania 39. WrestleMania goes Hollywood, and so this is the fourth time that WrestleMania has been in Los Angeles. First time was WrestleMania 2, which was when they had three locations. Second time, of course, WrestleMania 7, most known for Savage versus Warrior. That was the main thing that stood out. That WWF title match is like, yeah, whatever. Third time, of course, was WrestleMania 21. The first time they really tapped into the WrestleMania Goes Hollywood thing, Hollywood theme. That's certainly one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time, even to this day. And so now, as far as it's like the fourth time that WrestleMania has specifically been in Los Angeles. There's been other parts of California as well, such as Santa Clara for WrestleMania 31. But this time, it was right in LA at SoFi Stadium, home of Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. And also another thing, when it came to sightseeing thing, actually, the thing is, the hotel where I stayed at was like 45 minutes in walking distance from SoFi Stadium, and the walk, was no problem. As far as that, it was like whatever. So one day I was like, you know what? Let me go and like I said, let me go and see how the stadium looks for myself. So of course I walked all the way up there, took pictures. It's right next to the KN Forum, formerly known as the Great Western Forum, which is where the Lakers used to play. So like I said, side by side, and right across the street from there is where the Clippers are going to have their new arena. Whatever, sorry Clippers. But of course, like I said, and this WrestleMania did not disappoint whatsoever when it came to, so when it came to the venue, as well as when it came to, as well as when it came to the card itself. And side note, I got this really cool, Universal title necklace. I said it was absolutely amazing. It was between this and the Cody necklace, and so I was definitely going with this. You know what I mean? So this is like my second WrestleMania chain. So so this rate the way I'm going for like the chains, I said last time I about to talk. At this rate when I'm collecting WrestleMania chains, I'm gonna start looking like Mr. T at this point. But of course. Of course, without further ado, once again, as I said, WrestleMania 39. First one going to night one. Of course, night one, like I said, of course, night one kicks off with, let's just say, sort of a passing of the torch, if you will, as Austin Theory defeated John Cena to retain the WWE United States Championship. And of course, Cena came out with the Make-A-Wish kids, and so as far as that, of course, we all know Cena. As we all know, Cena's all his character has always been very family oriented. Huge kid fan base. In fact, he's got the record for most Make-A-Wish, like the most Make-A-Wishes in WWE history. So it's only made sense that that they came out. It only made sense they came out with those kids, for Make-A-Wish, and you could tell that this is going to be one of the last times that we will see Cena like ever wrestle. Especially when you look at the way his schedule is, and just how he's on so much on the other end of his career. And this is certainly sort of like the sunset phase of John Cena's career. So, and like I said, and the thing is, it's only fitting that he has a match with a guy like Austin Theory, because as we all know, like a few weeks ago when he cut that promo on Theory, even though Cena won in that promo battle, he specifically chose Austin Theory, because the thing is, he sees so much of himself in Theory. He sees the future in Theory. He sees who Austin Theory can be. and I think and that was a big reason why he chose to challenge him for the U.S. title. And of course, um, you can certainly see that rust coming from Cena, especially considering the fact he's not, so he's not on the road for wrestling on a regular basis like that anymore. You know what I mean? This is not, um, C Nation era Cena. You know what I mean? The guy that was um, carrying, like I said, the guy that was carrying this company was back um, for over a decade. You know what I mean? So at least like 12 straight years. If you will, it's not that same Cena. So it's just like a complete 180 these days, which is crazy because the same guy that was calling out The Rock, but without, that's another story. Um, like I said, I would say the night one certainly started out great as Theory, it started out great as Cena defeated Theory to retain the title. As we move on to the next match on the card, and it is, I think like it was the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. We have Street Profits versus Braun Strowman, and Ricochet versus Alpha Academy versus the versus the Viking Raiders. And when I say that this match was absolutely amazing, considering um, how much time it lasted under 10 minutes. In fact, this match lasted specifically 8 minutes and 30 seconds, 8.5 minutes. Like really, and the thing is, they brought everybody brought their greatest hits, the greatest arsenal. And speaking of hits, the highlight of that match was the way that Dawkins hit stick Braun Strowman. I was like, whoa, Braun Strowman of all people gets leveled like that, and it's just like Angelo Dawkins released like his inner Lawrence Taylor. Um, even though they're LA, if you want to relate to the Rams, he also released his inner Aaron Donald if you want to go that route. But yeah, like I said, it was just like, okay then, excuse me. I mean, it's talking about somebody who came to play, and Dawkins has raised his game significantly. Like I said, to the point, like I said, whether it was um, the way he's changed his appearance, as far as shedding that weight, to just improving in the ring. I mean, like so Angelo Dawkins and both him and Montez came to bring in, and of course they were my picks. Um, Street Profits, of course, won this match, and of course, moving on to Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. You know, and of course, when it comes to entrances, Logan Paul made homage to Shawn Michaels. With the way he came down on that zip line, which is reminiscent of HBK from WrestleMania 12. And side note, Logan Paul was actually trained by Shawn Michaels, going to his match with Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel. But it's old story. But of course, it's speaking of speaking of that, looking at Shawn Michaels' connections. Logan was trained by him, and now Logan's going in the ring against a guy that is often been compared to HBK. He's one of those guys that comes from the HBK tree of influence, if you will, and that is none other than Seth Rollins. And of course, Seth Rollins had this big, huge, long, great coat type thing, almost like shades of Rihanna, if you will. My nickname for him was Rihanna Rollins, basically. And the thing is, like when he opened up his coat, you could tell it was somewhat of a nod to Jeff Jarrett, because especially when it came to the top, I was like, yeah, this looks just like Double J, but only pink. So like I said, but the big thing about it is that obviously this match was amazing and did not disappoint. It lived up to what it was supposed to be. Especially when it comes to a match of Seth Rollins' caliber. And Logan Paul is far from a slouch himself. The winner of this match, of course, Seth freaking Rollins. Moving on to the 6-woman tag match with Trish, Lita, and Becky as they defeated Damage Control. It's just like pretty much like it's like whatever. You have 3 legends going against a team that has a legend as their leader. Along with um, pretty much uh, two that are, with all due respect to, to Dakota and Io, which is like, the thing is, Becky was right. I feel like that was a shoot in the sense that they've been reduced to being Bailey's lackeys. When they could clearly be so much more. I mean, look what they did in NXT. I'm talking about as far as Io and Dakota. Of course, um, so of course the winners in this match are Trish, Lita, and Lita, and Becky, and you can certainly see, with all due respect to Lita, you can certainly see, um, even though she's a tag team champion, there's still a lot of that sort of like ring rust, if you will, especially considering that she's not going to be there for a long haul. But when it came to Trish Stratus, I mean, she has shown that she can still go, that she can still have it. You know what I mean? And of course, not too long ago, Trish had that match at SummerSlam against Charlotte. So, you know what I mean? So it's just like, so like when it comes to someone who can still carry their own in the ring, I give the nod to Trish when it comes to that between her and Lita. So of course the winners, Trish, Lita, and Becky. And then here we go with and of course here we go with Rey Mysterio versus Dominic, and of course, like I said, this was a great match in itself. Shout out to those entrances. And of course, before going further, of course, WrestleMania was hosted by none other than both The Miz and Snoop Dogg. You know what I mean? And they were absolutely entertaining this whole entire time. And of course, the reason why I point that out is because for Ray's entrance, he comes out. For Ray's entrance, he comes out in a low rider in homage to Eddie Guerrero, and Snoop is in a low rider with him, and Snoop is like super duper hype, like let's go, Ray, let's go. I mean, he was excited. Like Snoop is a super duper like celebrity fan. Like he is in it for the long run. That's what I'm saying. It's just like, and of course I'm gonna go into more detail about it. I'm just saying, like, if they could put your Mike Tyson's and Mr. T, Bad Bunny in these WWE games, 2K games, then Snoop definitely needs to be in the game. It's long overdue for him. You know what I mean? But of course, aside from that, Rey Mysterio, of course, as always when it comes to WrestleMania, he knows how to step his gear up. And this outfit looked very similar, as shades of like Flash / Iron Man. You know what I mean? Like especially when it came to let me start, but especially when it came to that red and gold. There were people that are comparing it to Daredevil. When it comes, especially when it comes to that color scheme. I mean, if you want to go and say that, but it's mainly, some remind me of like Flash and Iron Man, but it is what it is. Like I said, Ray's entrance was great. Dominic's entrance is Prison Dom, when he was walked out there and he had like his rhinestone handcuffs. He's walked out there by these officers look like this supposed to be like security guards that are supposed to be like LAPD or something like that. But it was very fitting considering where WrestleMania was. I was like, all right, cool. Let's go tap this element, tap into the story. Great match, and of course the highlight, obviously, as we all know, was the spanking heard around the world when Ray took out the belt and whooped his own son. By the way, Dominic just turned 26. Whooped his now 26-year-old son like he's 6 years old in front of the whole world. So Ray waited at the perfect time, opportune time to bring out the belt. I was like, yes. But of course, the winner, just happened to be, of course, the winner of this match, happens to be Rey Mysterio himself, who just went to the Hall of Fame the night before. And so, so of course, as far as that, and of course, we transition from one Judgment Day member to the next, whereas we have, for me, the match of the night, if not the weekend itself, and that was the SmackDown Women's Championship between the 2023 Women's Royal Rumble winner herself, the Eradicator, Rhea Ripley, versus the Queen, the gold standard, Charlotte Flair. You know, and this, and like I say, for me, uh, the Judgment Day stuff to the side, all the stuff to the side. This was certainly Rhea's moment. Like I said, take away all the Judgment Day storyline stuff to the side. This was Rhea's moment. It was ultimately all about her. This was her time to shine. This was her redemption from WrestleMania 36 3 years ago, when it was that was a WrestleMania where there were no fans. It was at the PC Center, and the thing is, the thing about it was that Rhea was the NXT Women's Champion. She still had the blonde hair, and like I said, not only did she have the blonde hair, her hair was longer, and it's just like like I said, the thing is, Charlotte took her to school. She showed her like, look, you ain't ready. You are not cut out for this yet. You're not cut out, for this prime time phase yet. And Charlotte, like I said, the big thing, Charlotte definitely showed her. And the funny thing about it was that at WrestleMania 36, Rhea was, like I seen about, Rhea's gear was a tribute to Vegeta. Not exactly the best move. Vegeta's track record when it comes to big fights. But this one, even though she ain't dressed like it, but Rhea feels more. And I've said this before, in other comments or whatever. I've used this analogy before. Rhea right now is more like Android 18. And when it comes to just a ruthless fighting, killing machine. Um, so as far as seeing it, and this is Rhea's redemption, because it would have made no sense at all for Rhea to win this Women's Royal Rumble, and not only that, but just had this significant character transformation, development, all this other stuff that she's been doing. It would have made no sense at all for her to go through all the things that she's been going through when it comes to her charactership over these past within this 3-year time span and everything. It would have made no sense for her to do all these things and end up becoming another notch on Charlotte's belt. Charlotte's already proven, to be collectively, that she is Miss WrestleMania. Charlotte's, like I said, Charlotte's stats speak for themselves. Her matches speak for themselves, stat-wise, performance-wise. When it comes to women at WrestleMania, Charlotte is at the top, bar none. But in this case, this was definitely a time for Charlotte, to do the honors and put Rhea over. But and the thing about it was that Rhea rose to the occasion. Like, this was phenomenal. This, when it comes to women's matches at WrestleMania, especially when when it comes to women's title matches at WrestleMania, this is up there with the likes of Sasha versus Bianca at 37, Bianca versus Becky at 38, and now you have this, and this is a trifecta, and it certainly superseded expectations. Like, this was, I was highly invested, highly glued into this match, and and obviously for good reason. And like I said, this was Rhea's redemption. It's just like, and as we got further, the thing about it is that, for me, as we started to get further into WrestleMania, I realized that when it comes to these women's matches, that it wasn't going to be a clean sweep. That it wasn't going to be two title changes at the same time. It was going to be one was going to win a title, and another one was going to retain. Like I said, one woman was going to win a title, another woman was going to end up retaining her title. So I figured if Rhea, was going to win her title, spoiler alert, I'll get into that later. Like, so, this match absolutely delivered, And like I said, it's just too. Like I said, I mean, like I said, it was monumental. It was absolutely phenomenal. Charlotte showed why she is the standard, and Rhea has shown that this is her moment. This is her season. I think this is the time where she is ready um, for like for ready to carry uh, the women's division on SmackDown. Ready to be one of the figureheads to carry the women's division along with Beyond. You know, so of course, Rhea, so so of course you're winning in this match. Um, it's Rhea Ripley by pinfall. Of course, Rhea wins with the Rip Tide, and so like I said, there were points where it looked like Charlotte ended up taking it, but I still believe that Rhea was going to win, and sure enough, she certainly did. And like I said, this match, all the other matches to shame when it came to that one. Um, and of course, we have Pat McAfee in an impromptu match, Beast and Miz, and of course, this is um, when like I said, I'm sorry, of course, this was Pat's return, and so of course, um, Miz was getting mad at Snoop for that, for this, and Snoop was like, "Look, hey, look, you good? You know what I mean? Like, he was like, "Look, don't worry about this. You good? You wrestle, I rap. You know what I mean? You got this. You got in the back." And so of course, um, so, for what it served, it was a very entertaining match. Shout out to Pat McAfee. He is, I say, one of the best wrestling commentators. For me, one of my favorite wrestling commentators of all time. I mean, like just his dedication when it comes to his fandom is absolutely like amazing. It's remarkable, man. Pat McAfee is an absolute treasure when it comes to WWE. Of course, I know that he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. Um, I know he's going to go into the Football Hall of Fame, but eventually, when it's all said and done, Pat McAfee's got to have a place in the WWE Hall of Fame when it comes to his contributions. Whether it's on commentary, or just like WrestleMania moments. Like Pat McAfee is that dude. Like there are certain people in wrestling that when you think of them, when you think of that name, or and just like I say, just have one thought of them, they just put a smile on your face. And Pat McAfee is in that category when it comes to that. So hats off to him. And of course, the reason why he's been taking a break, is, for those that don't know, him and his wife are about to have a baby, so that's the reason why he's taking time off. And of course, kudos to him. So, and of course, of course, after that, here we are with the main event of night one, which of course, the undisputed tag team championship match with KO and Sandy versus the Usos. And I think for storyline purposes, that's the reason why this match was the main event. I seen like it's very much bloodline centered, and so I said the match was great in itself. And of course, long story short, the winners, as I picked before, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. So I think KO was like a triple crown champion, I believe. So so of course, of course, this is a great way to to put to sort of like a whole new sort of like chink in the armor of the bloodline. And so of course, hats off to Sami and KO for that win. And of course, now it is time for night two of WrestleMania. This is the one that was actually in the building for. Full disclosure, if you will. So of course, and of course, the main thing for me, was just was just the main event in of itself. And I'm going to go into detail in a minute. So of course, night one starts off with Brock Lesnar versus Omos, and it's a special attraction match. There's certainly mixed feelings about this match in more ways than one. You know what I mean? So of course, I've got torn on one end. Oh, wow. You know what I mean? So of course, you know, side note, um, on one end, um, I did, you know, the things I did want to see Omar's get a W because it would be huge, you know, like, it would be a huge notch on his belt when it comes to his resume in terms of his push and things like that to beat the legend like Brock Lesnar. But I still knew at the end of the day, Brock was going to deliver in that 5, and sure enough, he did. You know, and of course, at first, you know, it took a while for Brock, at least for Brock to pick him up. I could tell that that his lower back was starting to hurt. Especially with Omos's bear hugs and all throughout the match. But of course, the tide changed when Brock was able to take Omos Suplex City with those 3 straight German suplexes, and then after the second attempt, finally got Giant up for the F5, and that was that. So it's just like, of course, Brock's main attraction, but at the same time, um, just considering his track record of recent opponents and just how they look, you know, um, there are people that they're pretty upset about that. Pretty much, pretty much looking at Brock like he's like King Leopold or something when it comes to black wrestlers. Of course, with that, so that being said, Brock Lesnar wins. AKA Brock the Negro Slayer, excuse me. But yeah, that's a whole nother story. Um, of course, after that, we have the women's WrestleMania Showcase Fatal 4-Way Tag match. So we have a women's Fatal 4-Way Tag, just like the men's Fatal 4-Way Tag the night before. Of course, this time we have Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler versus Liv Morgan, and Raquel versus Natalya and Shotzi versus Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. And of course, the winners of this match were Ronda and Shayna. And of course, um, of course, I said the winners. Winners were Ronda Rousey, and Shayna Baszler. And of course, the third match of night 2 was absolutely amazing. It's triple threat Intercontinental Championship match. It had so many people on the edge of the seat. It's crazy. Gunther, or Gunther, if you will, versus Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, and Gunther. That's how you pronounce it. Ends up winning, and it was Sheamus would say banger after banger after banger, and this was an absolute banger. Like, it was an absolute thrill to watch, and man, they raised the bar. This definitely goes, definitely up there when it comes to greatest IC title matches in the history of WrestleMania. Where it ranks all time, only time will tell. But like I said, it was absolutely amazing, especially when we have these 3 in the ring. That we're gonna elevate that match and elevate that title. And of course, I'm looking forward to um, the day that Gunther finally breaks on the Honky Tonk Man's record. It's all time for that record to come down. And speaking of records, once again, congratulations. Of course, thank you very much to themselves for being champions for over 600 days, 620 days, or whatever, and everything they've done for those tag team titles. Like I said, hats off, salute to them, and everything they've done. But anyway, like I said, back to the triple threat match. Of course, your winner is still champion Gunther. And now, this one, I mean, we're going to talk about a sentimental favorite right here. Of course, here we are. Of course, here we are when it comes to the Raw Women's title. We have Bianca Belair versus Asuka, and so of course, first off, I did like Asuka's entrance. I think that was pretty cool. But then Bianca was like, look, it's just like this. When we talk about the female John Cena, Bianca is definitely that. Because this definitely gave John Cena vibes. As I said on Twitter, I felt like Bianca probably Bianca probably saw Cena's interest from night 1 and took notes and like, bet, let me do one better. And so shout out to her, and of course the Divas of Compton. That's the name. That's the name of that girl group. That's the name of that girl group. That girl group came out and danced and got in their formation to get ready for when Bianca came out. And of course, my thoughts and prayers are with that little girl who's a contortionist. And of course, like I found this out um, during the press conference when Triple H announced that girl lost her mom earlier that day, and for her to have the strength to get through that and to find some type of excitement, find some type of joy and relief to do that, to have the courage, to have the strength, to have the wherewithal. That's the type of stuff that brings tears to people's eyes. Like that was A1 right there. And like I say, my condolences, my thoughts and prayers out there. And Bianca is an absolute superhero. She's absolutely influential. Um, and like I say, with the way, and the thing is, especially when it comes to um, us as uh, black fans, and content creators of wrestling and things like that. Um, really, just black people in general. Just being honest, representation is everything for us in all that we do. Any field that we're in, um, any field that we just participate in, anything that we're a fan of, it's all about having representation. Because when you are in 13% population, you want to look for everybody that looks like you and and want them to succeed. I mean, I don't know what other way to say it, but um, like I say, I guess the way I said it doesn't really do any justice. But so that's why it may sound cliche, but it's the truth. Representation is everything, and especially for black girls, for black women, to see Bianca be the standard bearer that she is. I mean, that just does miracles in so many different ways. Like I said, to see someone who looks like you and succeed the way that she does and still be herself. You and to be who she is 1,000%. Like, I mean, like, especially as soon as I saw that, I was like, you know what? Let me change my initial pick because on one end, um, I wanted to see Oscar get a WrestleMania debut. But at the same time, I knew deep down Bianca was going to keep it, And so I was like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, it's locked in. Bianca's going to end up taking it. There's no way that they're going to let her roll out an interest like this and lose. Just like last year when she came out, um, like just like last year when she came out with Texas Southern University marching band, the HBCU, marching band in Texas. When she came out with them, I was like, yes, and especially when she came out last, I'm like, yeah, she's taking that title from Becky. Same thing with this when it came to Oscar. As soon as that interest came up, and I was like, and especially with her gear being a Hollywood thing, I'm like, yeah, she was, I said, Bianca is keeping that belt, and sure enough, she did a three-peat. Especially since it's in LA, home of the Lakers. Shout out to Shaq, RIP to Kobe. This is Bianca's three-peat. And and of course, like I said, the match itself was absolutely incredible. The build up of it wasn't so great, but what they did in the ring was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, for Bianca to have three straight, classics, three straight wins over legends, you know, Sasha / Mercedes has firmly established herself as a legend when it comes to women's wrestling. Same with Becky Lynch. Everything they've done when it came to the legacy of the four horsewomen. They are legends in their own right. And same with Asuka. As far as her being a Japanese legend, as far as what she did in NXT, longest reigning women's champion, and of course one of the main roster being undefeated. like I said, being undefeated multi-time women's champion and everything that she's done, and and of course for the EST, um, to get a W over her. And shout out to Bianca for the way that she ducked that missed, and of course, it didn't completely get in her face, but at least it's like part of it got on her. But the thing is, the way that she ducked so fast, and of course, a shout out to the ref, Aja, for making sure that her lash was on straight, and just little minute details and things like that. But the thing about it is that it's like Bianca. I mean, she's just with the way that she's delivering with the best of the best is making her that much better. It's improved her game by leaps and bounds. I think that's side note. I think that's like the biggest criticism that a lot of people have towards her AEW counterpart Jade. You know, it's the fact that she's not in there with the best opponents. But that's another story. I said Bianca has been fed the best competition that you can possibly find, especially when it comes to WrestleMania, and her work in the ring shows it. And she does not back down. She raises her game significantly, and so this match was a perfect example of that. As Bianca wins the KOD. Of course, afterwards, um, you know, we had some, slow down. Of course, afterwards, um, we have, Snoop introduce special guests. And this was an impromptu match, as we hear. Here comes the man. Here comes the money. And of course, another than Shane McMahon. The place goes crazy. And in fact, I was there. And like I said, I mean, TV doesn't know justice, really. You know what I mean. So it's just like, I mean, so that place exploded when Shane came out. You know what I mean? So we were expecting like another Shane versus Miz match. Unfortunately, much like unfortunately, much like his dad Vince, and much like his brother Triple H, Shane tore his quad and was out. And, I wish him nothing but a speedy recovery because he was legit hurt. I was like, man, that just fell flat. But of course, even with that, I've seen that WWE knows how to call audible. And of course, Snoop was the guy to step in and save that match, and he was the ultimate. He was the one who ultimately called the audible. And with the way that he was able to call those spots, I mean, spot on. He called those spots like a pro. And just for him and Miz to work together like that and give each other those signals when it came to those spots, like, yeah, seeing the way that Snoop delivered on the fly, and like I said, and just redirected the course of that program. And I was like, yeah, that's how you do it. It makes you even more of a fan. It makes you respect him even more. Not only that, but but of course, it was a great way for him to showcase that championship, and show, it was just a great way to showcase, his own special championship. So, congrats to Snoop. So he's a WWE Hall of Fame and legend. Of course, next up, the Hell in a Cell match, Edge versus, of course, the Hell in a Cell match, Edge versus Finn Balor. And so initially, my choice was actually Finn Balor, just for the sake of Edge passing the torch, you know. But with this being Hollywood, Russell Crowe introduced Edge, I was like, yeah, they've got to find a way, find some type of way for him to win. Of course, first it showed Brute, said Brute Edge, but then first it showed Brute Edge, and he did, and of course he did make his Brute entrance, but that's when they quickly transitioned into Radar Superstar, and so on and so forth. And Finn came out as a demon, of course with the red and purple paint and everything like that. So it's just like I was thinking, that this should be Finn's time to take over, and especially with this being the conclusion of of that Edge versus Judgment Day storyline. They officially gone full circle with it, that's this is the final chapter in that story. What better way to end it than Hell in a Cell? And kudos to WWE for bringing back the traditional classic, traditional classic cell instead of having having that candy apple red cell, stuff they've had, that they've had for quite some time. You know what I mean? So it's just like the match was what it was, and there was a point where Finn's head had this huge cut, like this gash, and so so of course midway during the match, they had to stop it in order to tend to him. But the thing about it was, said um, like I said, like I said, more so like so for like a I guess a victory or vindication for Edge. As far as him being the warrior, overcoming his demons and things like that. It's like whatever. It's like all right, cool. But at the same time, I mean, if there was anybody who needed more, it would have been Finn. Um, and and the thing is, I guess the highlight for me, which really would have been even more of a highlight, there was a spot, uh, as we all know, where Edge was on the table, and Finn climbed um, on that cell. Of course, he was inside the cell, right? And the thing about it is it's just like only thing is that Edge moved out the way, but had Edge not moved out the way, that spot would have been even bigger. That would have been even like probably the biggest highlight of Finn's career. When it came to that match, and shout out to Public Enemies. Shout out to Public Enemies podcast for making a joke, saying that if Edge, saying that shout out to Public Enemies for saying that if Edge didn't move out the way, he would have found himself having matches with Macho Man. In other words, would have been gone. So I was like, okay, cool. But the thing about it is that, like I said, had that spot delivered, I was like, yeah, that definitely would have changed course. But definitely would have been in Finn's favor. But because as soon as Edge moved out the way and Finn crashed to the table, I was like, Edge got this in the bag now. Like, yeah, this is it. I was like, okay. And like I said, the match was what it was. What I say is the greatest Hell in a Cell match. No, and the thing about it is, honestly, like I said, I felt like I mean, it's a feel good story when it comes to Edge because he's about to retire, and this is the first WrestleMania that I've seen Edge wrestle live ever. So I guess when it comes to some value, I guess I'm glad to see him win in that aspect, but it's just like, um, really, so it's just like, so of course, I mean, so when it comes to that, it's like really, not so much, but of course, the winner of this match is Edge, and right after that, here we are when it comes to the finale of night 2, the finale of WrestleMania itself. Tribal Chief, the reigning, defending, undisputed WWE Universal Champion, Roman Reigns, or as I call him, Roman Shard Reigns, versus Homelander, the American Nightmare, Lex Jr., Cody Rhodes, or as Black Twitter, IWC, used to call him Cody Luther X or Cody Luther King, whatever, Mr. N Racism in AEW, whatever you want to say. Well, apparently it's time to say rest in peace to those jokes. Of course, like all that in a minute. Now, as far as like Roman's entrance, as far as Cody's entrance, the place erupted, exploded. When it came to his theme music, they love it over there. Over there, it's just like, it's like, like on one end, it looked like it would have been great for him to win, but at the other end of the wins, it turned to, like I said, Lex's first 2.0. So for Roman's entrance, when they started playing that piano, I was like, yeah, something special about that. Yeah, Roman's going to end up taking it. And and the thing is, like I said, the match was great in itself. Like I said, outside of some of the extra interference stuff, I've seen it had this had this near falls, and the thing is, like, I see Cody certainly had ways to put Roman on the ropes, especially when it came to that. We saw slow when it came, actually when it came to that crossroads, like 3 times. He hit him with pedigree, things like that. Of course, he had interference from Solo. You see him initially, sent back to the locker room, you know, allegedly, whatever. At least until the time that that both Roman and Cody were down, and then we see Usos. Like with that, so first off, um, that's I say, first off, we see KO and Sammy. Of course, Roman's corner. KO hits him with a stunner, and then that's when the Usos come out, and not only that, not only that, but Solo comes back out as well. So it's just like the way that whole conclusion was, what I mean. So it's like like I said, the match of itself, was great. But it's just like I guess for a lot of people, just the way that it ended, like it's in typical controversial fashion. But I knew Roman wasn't going to leave empty-handed. He probably went empty-handed. So of course, of course, with the last second interference from Solo with Spike, of course, after that, Roman hits Cody, with one final spear for the W, and your champion, the winner, and the reigning Universal Champion, with the one Tribal Chief himself, Roman Reigns. Hence, that's why I'm wearing that shirt. And of course, the next morning, the next morning as I left, I know a lot of people, were mad, angry, they in their feelings, if you will. When it came to the bloodline, it was certainly in their feelings. Whenever they saw my shirt, the people that were, Team Cody, and of course there were fans that were outraged, as far as like Cody losing. I'm like, come on now. You really think Triple H was gonna let him win the title? After what happened at AEW when he smashed that throne, not at all. Um, so I'm glad that that Roman's march to 1,000+ days continues. And so like I said, the Tribal Chief is that guy. Say what you want, but it's just like this is Roman Reigns' world, and we're all living in it. So when it comes to WrestleMania overall, if I were to give it a belt grade, I would give it 8.8 out of 10. At least 4 out of 5 in Eagle titles. If I scale them on belt grade, it's probably like 8.8 out of 10. Win Eagle championships. So when it comes to my LA experience, I give it about 9.5 out of 10. So I see those. That's my belt grade, and that's my review when it comes to my LA experience. When it comes to my WrestleMania experience, thank you very much for watching, and enjoy the rest of of course, enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your evening. Have a great weekend, everything else.